What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Pet Shop Boys and their 1999 album Nightlife. Thank you again to Seb. And the next song is Closer to Heaven, which obviously speaks to proximity, whether independent or relative. And in that regard, I can think of maybe three different contexts for the word closer. It could be closer than before. It could be closer in a literal physical sense, independent of anything else, or closer than somebody else or than other people. So yeah, I do wonder whether this is one or more of those meanings when it comes to closer. But yes, heaven in, I'm guessing, not so much a metaphysical or religious context, but perhaps a more colloquial meaning of the word, some ideal or euphoric type of situation or dynamic, and thus to be closer to that is to be ever closer to something which would be utopian or beautiful or wonderful. So yeah, I do wonder again which meaning of closer it is and where we are jumping into the story. So let's see what I can pick up on a first hearing. This is Pet Shop Boys. The song is Closer to Heaven, and it's from their 1999 album Nightlife. That's awesome. One reason I think I'm very much going to like this album, when we were going through the early 90s material from Pet Shop Boys, there were multiple songs which were very dance party, like electronic dance music constituted. And I mentioned, the early 90s stuff in the rave scene and in, electronic music, I have a lot of respect for, and I know a little bit about in terms of, the emergence of, trance, and acid techno out of acid house and so on. But the early 90s stuff, as I mentioned before, it's a little bit before my time in terms of me going to rave parties and hearing that kind of music, weekend in and weekend out. But 99, I'm going every weekend just about, and sometimes multiple parties, and at the very end of 99 I started playing parties as a DJ. And so already after 2 tracks, I'm hearing electronic music stylings, trance music stylings that are more the type of dance music and electronic dance music that I have a personal history with. So don't get me wrong, like I have absolutely loved, and a lot of the tunes people have sort of indicated to me, and I've gotten an ear for myself, that there's certain stylings that have, like, in their music that have more of like an underground dance style, and those are sort of Chris tracks. But again, like, even after only 2 tunes on this album, it sounds like trance music and electronic music that I, sort of cut my teeth on as a teen in the 90s. Whereas again, the stuff from the early 90s, I know kind of the context of it, I know the history of it to a certain extent, by no means an expert, but that music, it wasn't my music at the time, if that makes sense. Now again, early 90s, and surely with this album as well, and obviously before that, a lot of their music you could call like synth dance or over like synth pop, where it's like more pop based. But yeah, when it comes to the electronic dance music stylings, it feels like this album is going to be nostalgic for me even if I haven't heard the tunes from it, if that makes sense. In any case, I very much enjoy this one sonically. I love especially that true piano line, which again sounds like a Robert Miles, like dream trance type of melodic run. There's also those strings, and indeed the opening and the ending, they're full orchestral but still with a bit of electronic quality to it. So yeah, it's like it begins and ends with this atmospheric, almost ambient orchestral sound, and in between there's a vocal trance tune with great melodic stylings. And I definitely enjoy, there was one section where the like synth bass got a bit more fragmented, a bit more, not aggressive, but a bit more edgy, and the sweep of the tune was majestic, and Neil's voice was great. And there were those effects on the vocals where they would sort of start closed off and they'd get a bit more open and a bit more open, but then they'd like overexpose them to the point where they got pitched up and almost sounded chipmunky and would kind of like dissipate. So I enjoyed the effects on the different vocals, and I wondered whether those were also Neil, but just with so many effects on them that he almost sounded unrecognizable. Obviously, the main vocals of the track, could not be more obviously Neil's melodic singing. But yes, ultimately, lyrically, I mean, 2 things. One, it sounds like the what's the right word? Like the utopian beauty, that getting closer to heaven is about waiting for this other person to come home and sharing the love that they have together. But then there's like a line that I caught that was something like, you've been out there for so long, you've kind of lost your way, something to that effect. I don't know about so long, but I think lost your way was part of it. And then it's like, oh wait, so is this not short term? Because at first I was thinking like, you go out to the nightlife and whatever, and I'm waiting for you here to come home, and a more like daily return to get closer to heaven together. But then suddenly it was like, wait, is this longer timeline? This is like, they had a connection, maybe they do have a connection, but the other person goes out on, I don't know, like a bender, or like goes out clubbing, or goes out with other people, and then this person is saying like, I'm waiting to get closer to heaven again when you come back here. So I feel like I'm probably missing parts of this and maybe even misinterpreting some of what I did here. But yeah, it seemed interpersonal, certainly, sharing love with someone, but with this sense of maybe they're not always together and the other person may have lost their way. Now obviously lost your way can be about behavioral patterns, and you're doing things that are self-destructive or which are of dubious morality, or maybe not honest to the narrator. So it feels like lost your way could mean different things. But yeah, like I said, it feels like the narrator's still there waiting for them, and that that they're coming together again, the other person coming back, will bring him closer to heaven, is what it sounded like. So yeah, a really cool tune. And as I said, as someone who listened to a lot of electronic dance music and trance in particular in the second half of the 90s, and by 99 again I was buying records, and not so much vocal trance again, like hard trance, acid trance, but also melodic and progressive trance. I feel like this album is likely to have a number of tunes that, as I said, without ever having heard before, will make me feel nostalgic for that era. So I'm looking forward to more. So is Luca. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.